why I don't live this lifestyle, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and I live the opposite. But I don't, as I said, there are always many shades of gray. You can't be perfect. You can't, of course, now you should not feel guilty when I tell these things. You should not feel that you are not far enough, not good enough, or things like that, because your mind always will tell you you are not good enough, and it will now use new knowledge when you develop and you look videos like this, and your mind will say, oh, I'm not good enough, there are people which are better. Also, you should not focus this. You are good as you are for now. Actually, it is called sex, drugs, and rock and roll. This is a movement, or not a movement, since the 60s. It's just a lifestyle which many people do because the society, modern people, the media, everyone says you have to live this sex, drugs, and rock and roll because that's so cool. When you do it, you are cool. But more reasonable people know that if you live this lifestyle, it's not so cool because it's maybe not healthy enough. The healthy aspect is not focused so much in this video because we are about spirituality, our path to enlightenment. So we will discuss more the ascetical part. Why do I live no sex, no drugs, no alcohol lifestyle? Why do I live the opposite? I will tell you from time to time at each point, but let's now discuss the points. No sex, no drugs, no rock and roll. What does this mean, rock and roll? It does not just mean rock and roll. When you now say, no, I don't hear rock and roll, I just hear techno. So it doesn't mean me. So, but still it means you, because you must define it in a modern way. You must see rock and roll includes the modern music. This lifestyle was born in the 60s. So, and this time there was the rock and roll. So that's why they say sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and not any other music kind, because there were not so much other modern music kinds at this time. Now we have to go further and have to spread these definitions. When it says sex, drugs, and rock and roll, you must see it means not just rock and roll, not just other modern music, but also it includes TV, internet, digital media, gaming consoles, and of course, smartphones. Whatever there is which can stand for the new rock and roll. That means distraction for the ears in the sense of music, or nowadays it is more distraction for the eyes because people are on the screen all the time. This was not so given in the 60s, just there was the TV and not so much program in the TV, but more it was about going out, listen to music, dancing. So that was the distraction for the 60s. But nowadays there is much more distraction. It's not just going out and dancing. There are so much other things, and you all knew that, you all have tried them. I also was addicted to PlayStation for many years. It was in the 1990s, and first it began with Nintendo and later it continued with a PlayStation, until I could realize that it's a waste of time and it doesn't bring me further, because I was then searching for the sense. And I could see that with the digital media, you run even more in the dream, in this material world, in this duality. You are not about developing, you are not about ending this dream, coming out of this cycles of, you can say with religious words, cycles of karma, but we are about self-development. And so we want to break this up. And that's why I stopped all activities. Even for a certain time, I stopped to listen music. I just took the music still when I was going for jogging or for some sports, but for the rest of the day and the rest of my life, I was not living with music. It's very important to learn how to bear the silence, the external silence, so that you also can learn how to bear the internal silence in your soul, and that you come closer to yourself. And therefore, it is not good to distract with so much things. The best is you leave as much as you can. A very good thing what I do is not to use the WhatsApp every day, just use it every second day or every third day. And then you will see you will have even more fun with it, because it's more joy than to read from that friends which you haven't read for 2 days or so. So you are even more happy to see them or to read from them. The same with the emails and with the other. And as you know, there are not so much interesting emails. Most of the time, there is just spam, even if it's not in the spam folder, but it's still spam coming in the ordinary folders. So whenever you get emails and you receive, or you just look at them every 3 or 4 days, then you will see there are some relevant emails in between. The rest you can cancel, but then you will be happy to have 1 or 2 interesting emails. But when you check it too often every day, it's a waste of time, and you see also it's a waste of your nerves and everything, because there is just spam. And at least, of course, it will increase your lifestyle, not just for the higher development we are talking of this channel. We are talking about this on this channel, but also for your lower joy, for your fun with, as I told you, whenever you start to reduce these things, you will have more joy when you do it more seldom. Then it will be more attractive. Then it will be always appear like something new you haven't done for 2 days. What you can do here is, if you need it for emails for a job, that when you have an old phone, or even your employer gives you an old phone, that you can have the job mails on the phone, and that you have the other phone for private stuff. Another thing is, you can, even in your private area, when you have an old phone, you can have on one phone, maybe the old one you take for WhatsApp and emails, and the other one is just for you and for your development. It's just if you want to Google something, if you want to have a watch on Wikipedia, if you want to know something, then whenever you go on the internet, you switch on. What I also do is, I'm always in flight mode. And whenever I need the internet, then I quit the flight mode, I connect, I go online, I search for the term I wanted to search, I wanted to read, then I read just the term. But the point is, at the same time, then all the mails and other messages come, because then I'm online. And so the distraction starts. Okay, you can also make it a habit to ignore these things. That's also good. Or what you can do is, there is the option that you can, of course, switch up the pop-ups, and then you check it a few days later. But if you really want to separate it and to have it not just so much in your life, it is even better to have it on another phone, which you switch off for 2-3 days, and where you, when you can, when it's not dependent from your job or so, you just check it every 2 or 3 days. And believe me, it will really increase your life quality and your joy. So I think that is enough for the rock and roll part. Let's rock and roll and go to the next part. And this is drugs. Of course, as you can imagine, I not just mean all the illegal drugs. I also include the legal ones. That means coffee, energy drink, Coke, and alcohol. For many years, I also was drinking alcohol, coffee, all these things. But one day my body started to become more sensitive, and first of all, to reject the coffee. My stomach couldn't bear the coffee anymore, so it was very easy to stop it. The same thing with smoking. And once it was even with alcohol that my body said, oh no, please leave it. It directly reacted and rejected. So it was very easy. Even after 1 glass of wine, my body didn't want it anymore. So you can see, there is maybe, you can have your body has maybe an own intelligence when there has to be stopped these things. At some people, really, it comes to the point that the doctor has to say, you have to stop the alcohol, or you have to stop something. And then these people change. Even not just this lifestyle part changes with the drugs, with the legal drugs. Also other parts change. Also they become more sportive, or they become even meditators. So many things change in their life. It's not just, see, first of all, they just stop the alcohol, but then also they become more ethical. They behave better, because due to the alcohol, maybe they were not so good firstly, so in previous times, but suddenly they changed in their ethical ways, and then they stop other things also. I'm here nowadays very extreme. I don't drink even black tea. green tea even has very small caffeine, very little caffeine. So I avoid even these caffeines in the tea because I don't want to influence my consciousness. Whatever influences consciousness, and this is not heavy drugs, not illegal drugs, it's also the legal drugs. And you, as you know from the alcohol, it influences the consciousness a lot. So you have such a high, and then next day you have such a low, and you are very bad. And that's why, of course, it is very important to abolish the alcohol in your life. No, but if you can, and if possible, also you have to abolish the caffeine. Not so extreme like me that you abolish even the tea. But you can, minimum, you can abolish the coffee. So there is caffeine-free coffee available also. There is even, I have seen, caffeine-free green tea and caffeine-free black tea. Nowadays, everything is available. So you can switch to these products. They are not so easy to get everywhere, but whenever you have them, you know your shops and you move to the other sorts, to the better ones, which are not influencing your consciousness. The only one who has to influence your consciousness are you, and actually also God from the other side, from the spiritual level. But you are in this development of your consciousness, and it has to be clear for that. And that's the point. And that's why I say also no drugs in any kind. What means, of course, when you are on channels like this, you are not taking hard drugs. It means just the caffeine and the alcohol, basically. So I think I said enough about the drug thing. What do you think? If you want to add, you can write it down below. Because this should not be a ethical teaching, or this should not be a medical. I told you at the beginning, it's not about healthy or so. It's about your soul development, your consciousness development. And that's why we live without these things, because these things distract and entangle us. You know, alcohol, caffeine, and so these are addictions. Why is it so hard to overcome even the caffeine? It is about 1 or 2 weeks of headache when you want to come out of the caffeine addiction. So many people suffer. They wanted to stop with caffeine, but then they have 1 week minimum headache all the time. Because why is that? It's a symptom of withdrawal. It's a symptom when you start to abolish an addiction. Like in caffeine, there is this headache. It's a symptom. But also it shows that it was an addiction. So otherwise there would not be withdrawal symptoms. So it's not easy to handle these things. But if you really want to develop, and the point is that these things entangle with the body, and at the end they entangle even with this material world, because drugs, even that legal drugs we talked about, they are material thing, they are substances. And whenever you consume substances and you are addicted even to substances, this will entangle you in this material world even more. And whenever you are entangled even more, your ego will be stronger with that and fight to get this stuff, even if it's legal. But some people could be even become very angry when they don't get their caffeine or their alcohol. So you can see it's really entangling and confusing emotions, confusing thoughts. And so you don't develop, it can be a big obstacle if you want to reach the enlightenment whenever you still are addicted to any substance, because they hold you in this material world. Whenever you are entangled with the body, with addictions, it will hold you in the material world. And that's the point, actually. What's interesting is that paradoxically, in previous times when you were maybe entangled with the alcohol, for me it was so, there was kind of a fog in my mind, because I was not on this development on higher consciousness. And so I felt kind of a fog in everyday life. And even when it was paradoxically at this time, alcohol was good, because whenever I could switch off from this everyday life with the alcohol, with the help of the alcohol, then the fog could become clearer and I could get more access to me, to myself. And I was sitting even after the party. I love to sit alone at 1 o'clock than at home or so. And still it was more about thinking. It was not about meditating, but even thinking and reflecting about oneself is, first of all, the very first step in development. For very undeveloped people, it was the very first step. And so it was for me the very first step. And so it is not too bad. I don't want it to say, and I said it's not about healthiness in this video. The point is just I wanted to say that, first of all, even old philosophers, some of them say even that good wine is good for the development. But yes, to a certain point. But then one day when you really want to develop and you want to go in the higher meditation experience of the connectedness and go deeper in the meditation, then once you have to stop it. Or even, as I told you, sometimes even the body starts to reject these things. Or what can happen, even your soul, suddenly you are not interested anymore. And so also it was with the sex. Let's come to the next aspect. Why not sex? I told you it's about no sex, no drugs, no rock and roll. And now we come to the maybe for most people, it's the number one topic. They say, I don't know why they say it. So they see, maybe because they have this good feeling then, even better than from the alcohol. So that's why they say the sex is the number one topic for them. But it's just bodily owned drugs, and it's the same thing. It entangles you with the body, it entangles you with the world. You are looking for someone for the sex, maybe even for a partner, but or maybe just with a person with which you don't want to have partnership, just for the sex. Or for some people, even with the porn. So whatever happens, then you are entangled. In the porn case, even you are entangled with the rock and roll part and with the sex part. So you are entangled in both kinds when you are porn addicted. But even just the normal bodily sex entangles you with the body. When you don't focus these higher things, when you are just about the sex, there is another certain video about the whole sex thing on this channel. You can find it under the link in the upper corner. And also in the video I say, whenever it comes to the sex or to the sex topic, the point is that even research says sex is good, and these bodily owned drugs we get from the sex, it is so good, and there is so much research which shows positive results. Yes, of course, we have these results and we have the positive effects, but what comes after high and low, this research, they don't focus, and they forget that even one day late, even directly after sex, many people get tired, but even one day later it can happen that you get a low, or that you are depressed, or even it appears 2 or 3 days later. When I was younger, it directly appeared in the same night when I was with my boyfriend, and then I was laying still awake for so many hours, and the better the sex appeared, the longer I was awake searching for something else, because I was thinking, okay, that was all. They say that's the good thing, you have to have the good sex, then you have to then you had everything, and then suddenly you couldn't sleep, and you were thinking, so okay, that's all they say in all media, that is what we should strive for. And then you start to reflect, that's really all. That was good, but okay, but now it's over. It's limited, because here in duality with our bodies, we are limited. We are not God, which is in permanent bliss and which has permanently the joy or the enlightenment. When you are in enlightenment, you are permanently in a bliss. You don't need an extra orgasm, which is very limited to a few seconds. And then people want it again and again. And then even the more they get it, the more they get depressed from time to time. Maybe you have also your experience with that. And so this is not good. And that's why we develop. And that's why I don't live this lifestyle. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And I live the opposite. But I don't, as I said, there are always many shades of gray. You can't be perfect. You can't, of course. Now you should not feel guilty when I tell these things. You should not feel that you are not far enough, not good enough, or things like that, because your mind always will tell you you are not good enough, and it will now use new knowledge. When you develop and you look videos like this, and your mind will say, oh, I'm not good enough, there are people which are better also. You should not focus this. You are good as you are for now. I just wanted to give you some aspects. Maybe you can change here or there in your lifestyle some aspects. You should not change everything at the same time. That would be too much at the same time. And I wanted to say your body also will help you, and it will tell you when it's enough. Even in the sex thing, it tells you whenever you are depressed after that, and these things will become more, then it's a sign that even your body tells you, okay, we should think about changing lifestyle here. Also, there is a video about how to transcend the sexual energy. So whenever you know there is this energy, and we are educated not just from the media and from the studies which are existing, but also the whole education told us you have to have this sex, otherwise it will not be possible. But we are not animals. It's not necessary to live with it. It is possible to live without it when you not suppress it, because suppressing is also wrong way. I tell in the video also, you should transcend it. And with transcendental meditation, you can transform the sexual energy to another energy whenever you need it. You need it in your brain for writing books or for doing other good stuff. You can transform it there. You want it for the enlightenment, you can even pull this energy higher, and you can use it for your self-development. How you do this, you will find in the video. If you have still questions or something interesting to contribute, please down, as I told you, write it up. It would be nice if you subscribe when you're interested in more videos like this. Also, you can tell me in the comments if you have certain wishes which you want to know about, which we can talk about in new videos, in future videos. For now, have a good day. See you soon. Bye.